Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's your host, Rising Oblivion. Today, guys, we just recently got some news that Persona 5 has reached 10 million copies sold worldwide. So, they just did some brand new trailers for Persona is Winter 2023, and the other one is called Another Me, which is like two bits of like this new series I think that they're doing for the celebration of it reaching 10 million sales. They have these two Japanese actors, which is pretty interesting, but I wanted to reflect a little bit on here about what Persona 5 has done for the community, for games in general. It has done a lot for us. I mean, I know a lot of people are tired of hearing about Persona 5, and believe me, I fully understand that. Refantazio has me super hyped just to have something new from Atlus, and of course Persona 3 Reload also has me super hyped as well, but we can't really deny that Persona 5 has had such a huge impact. And when I say 10 million sales from Persona 5, I am including Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Strikers, Dancing in the Starlight, and of course Tactica, which just released not too long ago. But collectively, the Persona 5 brand, including all of its spin-off games, have reached 10 million sales worldwide, with 50% of Persona 5's, all of the sales. Persona 5 includes 50% of just Persona, just the series Persona in general. Persona 5 is 50% of that, which is pretty insane considering all of the other stuff we have from Persona 1 to 4, which again are very, very good games. I highly recommend. If you like Persona 5, please check out Persona 4 and Persona 3 at least. If not, check out Reload when it comes out here soon. It seems like it's going to be a pretty amazing game. But let's talk a little bit more about the numbers and then get into what it's done for the series. There's a whole lot here that I want to talk about with Persona 5, especially being a content creator, somebody who's been heavily involved in the community, and what it's done for me. I mean, streaming through the games, making videos for it, it's gotten me monetized on YouTube, it's gotten me YouTube partnership. It means a whole lot to me when it comes to Persona 5. Even if it's a game that's died down a little bit and we're kind of tired of talking about it, I really wanted to have this one last real big reflective video on Persona 5. I know I haven't made a whole lot of videos talking about it. There hasn't been a whole lot to really talk about. It's Persona 5. We've kind of talked this thing to death. You know, I think we've all kind of agreed on that, but I want to talk a lot here about it. Before we jump into that, 9 million copies of Persona 5 was sold worldwide as of June 2023. Tactica sold over 1 million, which is why it pushed over to 10 million copies of just Persona 5 in general. But yes, the series is doing well, but let's get into what that means for us and what Persona 5 has done to the community and JRPGs in general. And I mean, first things first here is the community. The community has grown huge over the past couple of years. Persona 5, of course, having a lot to do with that, then Royal boosting it even more. And subsequent releases like Strikers and Tactica also helping here and there, but I think a lot of people jumped on board with Royal or just base P5, right? But it's made the community very big. There's multiple YouTubers now that have gotten, I think, YouTube partnership just because of Persona 5. Of course, their editing and their other videos have done a lot, but I think Persona 5 really has done a whole lot for these constant creators. There's YouTubers now, there's streamers now who just stream the content, make videos and stuff. It has done a whole lot for us here as a community and bringing us together. I love seeing people from chat expressing their love for these games and talking about them, and it has had a huge influence over the community. People doing giveaways, just like me, people just flat out just talking about it online, Twitter accounts that are huge just posting and reposting stuff from Atlus. It's pretty insane, and I'm glad to have been a person who was here early enough to catch that train, I guess, and be a part of the whole, Persona universe, I guess. When I streamed through Royal, which was I think one of the first series I ever did here on the channel, I could tell it was something special, and a lot of people were super involved just watching me play the game and experiencing certain things for the first time. It's amazing, and people just being like giddy to see that happen. But yes, obviously the community's here, it is big, it is growing more and more. I think it's somewhat stagnant here as of late because there hasn't been a whole lot of new stuff coming out. next year for sure will change that, and I hope it does. I hope we get even bigger and have more games to talk about than just the typical few every year, and that's why I want Refantazio to do super well. Check out my last video about that. It's another new Atlus IP that hopefully is going to be really big and really huge. But moving on here, let's talk about what Persona 5 has just done for JRPGs in general. And I know this might be something that people think a whole lot about, but there isn't a whole lot of really huge JRPGs that I think have grabbed a hold of the just normal player base of people who just play video games. I think if you're a person who's into turn-based JRPGs, you are into turn-based JRPGs. I think a lot of people, especially people who dive really deep into Final Fantasy's turn-based stuff, Persona's turn-based stuff, I mean, most of it's turn-based unless you're doing spin-offs, but a lot of the people who are super involved in these communities are super involved in it, right? I don't think there's a casual fan base of turn-based JRPG players. There's a few out there, I'm sure, but unless you're talking about Pokemon or something like that, I think that's probably the most casual turn-based players there might be. And I don't mean that with any shame. I love Pokemon, but seriously, there is definitely a casual fan base and people who are die-hard for it. But Persona 5 has done something different, and especially Royal, I think, as well, with how shiny and pretty the game is and how easy it is to get into. I think that's what it appeals so much to a more casual fan base. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. There are plenty of other worse things within the community than a casual fan base of players playing. It's a good thing. Overall, it really is. It means Atlus is doing something right. It's picking up on more players. Sure, you could argue that it's a little bit less for the more die-hard turn-based fans. I don't think that's necessarily true, especially if you get a whole playthrough of it, it's 100 hours or something, and you enjoyed it. I still think it's a good experience. Some people complain about the difficulty, which, you know what, fair enough. Maybe you're just too good for it or something. I'm not too sure. I see that all over the place, but I think if you play through the game the first time, don't use any DLC personas, you typically have a pretty good job here. But again, why is it so easy to get into? Why is it so good for the casual fan base of JRPG players, or just a casual fan base of just video game players to get involved with Persona 5? And I've seen some other people talk about this, and it is flashy, the characters look nice, the story is good, it's well written. A lot of the major points are voice acted. There's a lot of non-voice acted stuff in JRPGs, especially turn-based ones where there's lots of text. It is so nice having a decent amount of it be vocalized and people having their own personalities here. How nice the game looks traveling around Tokyo and just traveling around different parts of Japan and whatnot. I think that really appeals to a casual player, and the turn-based combat not being super complex. I think Trash Taste talks about this, where the turn-based combat doesn't feel turn-based, it just feels more involved, which is nice. It's not a typical, more like Final Fantasy turn-based type of combat, or like Pokemon or something like that. It's more involved, and it starts out super simple and becomes more and more complex as you begin to learn about it. I think a lot of people who are more casual fans of these types of games don't like jumping into turn-based JRPGs, or they're super picky about them, which, I mean, fair enough. If you're super used to a certain turn-based system, it can be very hard to try and learn another one, but it's super easy to get into, and I think that's why it appeals combat anyway, super easy for everyone else. The overworld stuff is pretty easy to get into. You're just walking your character around, talking to people. The confidant system's really nice. It blends together so well, of course, as well, but the turn-based combat is so easy to get into. And when you're talking about games, there's always a constant gameplay loop. And especially with Royal, with how streamlined they made it and how efficient they made it, being able to use the gun constantly. If you use Ryuji's confident skill, you can quickly get rid of just like weaker enemies and just flash past them. They made it a whole lot easier to get into combat, and they made it so fluid and easy. Battles aren't super drawn out that are like super easy ones where you're just wasting a whole minute of time on an enemy that's going to give you like 10 XP or something like that. They do a super good job at getting people more and more involved, and I think that's why the gameplay, anyway, has been such a big draw for people. And of course, the menus are flashy, the music's good. It's kind of good all around, which is what you expect and what you want from a big JRPG like this. And of course, this also, I think, is one of the first major games internationally for Persona to be breaking out into, which also helped them with a lot more things. getting Persona 4 Golden put onto Steam, getting the consoles more in order here, right? They're putting all of the Persona games on Xbox Game Pass. They're willing to do more international releases. I think that's because they realize how big of an impact Persona 5 had. Now, you could say that it's more than just Persona 5, but it is. I mean, I totally agree. SMT5 also has proved to show a lot more of that. Persona 4 Golden, of course, has shown that, but you can't deny that Persona 5 Royal and Persona 5 was some of the first real big breaks that Atlus had in terms of the international community. I had never even seen Persona games on the shelves until Persona 5, and I think that does prove a lot there, right? It's getting put on shelves, people from the international community are playing more and more of it. They're now doing simultaneous worldwide multi-console releases for games, which they had never done before, and you can sort of see the trend starting with Persona 5. So not only has it had a big reflect on the community, bringing in new people to the game, and just getting people more involved with the turn-based JRPG aspect. I know so many people who got involved with more turn-based JRPGs because of Persona 5. So not only is it just Persona and Atlus, but it's JRPGs in general, and getting people more involved in these longer types of stories. I know a lot of people don't like 80 to 100 hour games like Royal is, but if you really enjoy the game and you're really into it, it's special and it's nice, and it has such a huge payoff whenever you play a game so long, especially if it's done pretty damn well. I'm not saying the game's perfect. There are obviously flaws. There's flaws in every game, but to sit here and say that I didn't enjoy my entire time playing through Royal, that'd be just wrong. It'd be wrong. Of course, there's downsides here or there, but it's done a whole lot for the community. It's done a whole lot for me. Maybe I'm a little bit biased here, being a content creator talking about it, but it has gotten me more involved with other games in the past as well. Again, I played through Persona 4 Golden. I've tried playing Persona 3 a few times, but that's because of what releases they've done for that. Atlus isn't perfect either. I mean, we have to also recognize that, but this has still done a lot for them, and I do believe they are taking lots of steps in the right direction for their games. Persona 3 Reload being one of the biggest ones out there, honestly. And not to mention, P Studios being involved with Atlus, an entire studio was developed around the Persona franchise in general. I mean, starting more with 3, obviously, 4, then 5, but we now have a huge influence just from Persona in general, which is nice. I'm glad Atlus decided to do something like this, and I believe it's really special. A lot of the people within our community really do, I think, look out for each other at times, even though our Mega 10 is probably the worst subreddit I've ever seen in my life, but that might just be because it's Reddit people. I don't know, but I still think there's pretty good in here in the community, and I believe in it. I really do. So let me know what you feel. Did Persona 5 do a lot for you? Do you think it's worth the hype it's been talked about? Do you think it's not? Do you think it's a little overrated? Let me know what you feel down in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe for more content. Click the bell to be notified whenever I have a new video go up or whenever I go live again. And we'll be doing lots more live streams here in the future. I'm going to be finishing up Tactica, then moving on to other games, and I'm going to be having a holiday giveaway here very, very soon. Also, some giveaways for Reload and whatnot down the road as well. So stay tuned and stay, keep your eyes peeled for stuff like that. Follow me on Twitter, or X, I guess. I'll be posting updates about that stuff there as well. But until next time, see you later, guys. Thank you so much for watching.